In this module, we'll turn theory into decisions. You'll use a simple framework to choose between Key Vault, Key Vault Premium, Managed HSM, and Dedicated HSM by balancing security, compliance, operations, and cost for each workload. You now have the vocabulary and the map. From Module 1, you know what keys are, why HSMs matter, and how Azure protects them through their lifecycle. From the comparison, you've seen how Key Vault, Managed HSM, and Dedicated HSM differ. Now we'll translate that knowledge into real-world choices and architectures. When you pick an Azure HSM option, the first question isn't what's the coolest service, it's how much assurance does this workload really need? You're balancing 4 things: security, compliance, cost, and operational effort. Your goal is enough protection to meet risk and regulatory expectations, without over-engineering simple or low-impact workloads. Choosing between Key Vault, Managed HSM, and Dedicated HSM means weighing several dimensions, not chasing a single feature. Start with security and compliance. What level of isolation, assurance, and regulatory evidence is actually required? Then consider operations and cost. Who provisions, who monitors, how keys will be rotated and recovered, and what usage volume you expect. Different options win on different axes, so the best choice is the one that aligns with your priorities. Use Standard or Premium Key Vault when you mainly need a secure place for secrets, certificates, and keys without operating your own HSMs. If software-protected keys meet your risk and compliance needs, this service is usually sufficient. It integrates cleanly with managed identities, web apps, APIs, and DevOps pipelines for things like connection strings or TLS certificates. You get strong security and automation with far less operational overhead than Managed HSM or Dedicated HSM. Key Vault Premium is the middle ground between software-only keys and a full Managed HSM deployment. You keep the familiar Key Vault APIs, but your keys are now protected by FIPS-validated HSMs. This suits scenarios where you need customer-managed, HSM-backed keys for compliance, yet don't require dedicated HSM instances, custom RBAC AC, or strict operational controls. Think of it as upgrading assurance, without taking on the complexity of Managed HSM. Managed HSM shines when you need a single, trusted place to protect your most sensitive keys across many Azure workloads. It gives you HSM-grade assurance without buying, racking, and patching hardware yourself. Use it when auditors expect strong separation of duties, clear key custody, and customer-managed keys for encryption. It's ideal for regulated industries, payments, and any high-value application where you want cloud-scale cryptography with manageable operational effort. Managed HSM becomes the right choice when the organization, not Microsoft, must remain in charge of its encryption keys. Your applications ask Azure services to encrypt or decrypt data, but those services only reference keys that reside in your HSM. You decide who can use each key, how often keys rotate, and which roles manage them. Every key operation is logged, giving auditors a complete trail and a clean separation between application administrators and key custodians. With Managed HSM, you get HSM-grade protection without owning any appliances. Microsoft runs the secure hardware, clusters, and firmware, so you avoid concerns about racks, updates, and break-fix. Your focus moves to security control, defining who can use which keys, enforcing RBAC and access policies, configuring rotation schedules, and integrating monitoring and alerts into your SOC. This model scales like any cloud service, while keeping you firmly in charge of key usage and governance. Azure Dedicated HSM makes sense only when you truly need your own HSM hardware. Think strict single-tenant control, where policy or regulators require that no one else shares the device. Choose it when your team must administer the HSM directly or run vendor-specific tools and custom integrations. It's ideal for migrating existing on-prem HSMs or supporting unusual cryptographic workloads. Remember, more control also means more responsibility for operations, monitoring, and availability. Imagine a global payment processor that's been using on-premises HSMs for years. Their signing apps depend on specific vendor tooling, scripts, and admin processes. Dedicated HSM lets them lift that model into Azure with minimal change. Same APIs, similar partitions, same operational mindset. The trade-off is that they now own more responsibility. HSM expertise, network design, monitoring, patching, and lifecycle management. It's cloud infrastructure, but still a traditional HSM at heart. You can think of Azure Key Management as a spectrum of control. For many workloads, standard Key Vault provides strong key protection and good auditing, and that's enough for general compliance. When requirements state that keys must be HSM backed, you move to Key Vault Premium or Managed HSM. If auditors demand strict hardware isolation and direct admin control, you step up to Dedicated HSM. Always confirm the exact requirement language with legal, risk, and audit teams. When you compare these options, frame them in terms of cost, control, and the operational muscle you actually have. Key Vault keeps costs and effort low because most of the heavy lifting is handled for you. Managed HSM increases assurance and control but expects stronger processes and monitoring. Dedicated HSM goes further still. Maximum control, but only safe if you have mature operations, specialized skills, and budget for ongoing governance and support. Use this framework as a quick filter. First, clarify the problem you're solving. If it's primarily secrets and certificates, regular Key Vault is usually enough. If your policy demands HSM-backed keys but you want minimal overhead, pick Key Vault Premium. If you need a centralized, high-assurance key boundary for many apps or tenants, use Managed HSM. Only move to Dedicated HSM when you truly need direct box-level control, custom tooling, or strict single-customer hardware. Overall, Azure Key Management forms a spectrum. Key Vault covers everyday security and compliance with minimal overhead. Managed HSM adds cloud-native, centralized, high-assurance key management. Dedicated HSM delivers maximum control and isolation. Next, we'll turn these choices into concrete Azure HSM architecture patterns.